Hello dear friends, welcome back to the Android tutorial. In this session, we are going to understand about the fragment, how to add a fragment on an activity, how to perform some operation on fragment. Basically, fragment is a part of activity, or we call it is a sub-activity of activity. So the benefit of the fragment is what? We can develop the fragment code separately and we can add that code on an activity wherever we require. A same fragment can be added into multiple activities or two or more fragments can be added into a single activity. So fragment is basically a part of your activity and multiple fragments can be added on a single activity. So in this session, we are going to understand how to create fragment, how to open a particular fragment when user select a particular menu item from an option menu. So for that, we are going to create option menu in this application. So we will also understand how to create option menu in Android. And when user select a particular option menu, one particular fragment will be opened. So we will create two fragment and two option menu, one fragment for one option menu. Once user select a particular option menu, one particular fragment will be open, and user select another menu option, the second fragment will be open. So let's have a demonstration of how to create a fragment in Android. So here I am going to create a new project in Android. I am going to create a new project in Android. So for that, so I am going to select a file new project. So I am choosing the project of category phone and tablet, and inside it I am choosing the empty activity. Once I click on next, it will ask me for the project name. I am specifying the project name as Fragment Demo 2, like that. This project is created on this particular path, and I am going to click on finish. So after that, it will add an a project in your Android Studio, right? So once it add the project, we will able to design something for the fragment, for demonstration of the fragment. First we will design the menu, option menu in an activity, and for that option menu, we will design the two different fragments. So initially I am going to design the menus for the fragment. So purpose of adding menu here is, so when user click on the particular menu option, of we want to open a particular fragment. So fragments are the sub-activity. We want to add the sub-activity on an activity. Two or more sub-activity can be added on a fragment. Once the project is loaded, so I will design the menu first and then I will create a fragment. Now the project is ready. So here, so on the main activity, I am going over the activity main.xml. This is the layout and the default layout that is added on this activity is a constraint layout. So instead of constraint layout, I am going to change this layout as a linear layout. So I am changing this constraint layout to linear layout. So I am going to delete this text view. I am going to specify the orientation of this linear layout. Orientation is equal to vertical. And inside the linear layout, I am going to add one fragment. So for adding the fragment, we have fragment tag, and I am specifying the fragment width as match parent and fragment height as match parent. Okay. Then I am going to specify the ID to this fragment. ID to this fragment as frame for fragment. Like that, I am going to specify the fragment ID frame for the fragment on which I want to add one fragment. A fragment that is designed outside this activity, I want to add inside this fragment an end fragment tag. So I am specifying the ID to this fragment as this. And if I want to add an existing layout file for this fragment, so I need to add the existing, I need to add the fragment. So how to add the fragment inside it? So I'm going to add the three different fragments in my project. First is the default fragment that I want to display on this particular activity, and then when user click on the menu option, uh, one particular fragment will be displayed. So first I am going to add one fragment inside my project. So for adding the fragment, I am going to move towards the app folder, selecting the new option and then selecting the fragment. So I am using the fragment as blank fragment, fragment blank. And the name of the fragment is blank fragment. So fragment underscore blank will be the layout file created for this fragment. So without changing anything on this blank fragment, I'm going to click on finish. So once I click on finish, a blank fragment will be added in my project. So I want to display this blank fragment on an activity. So for this fragment, one Java file and the layout file will be added. So inside the XML file, when I move toward the code view, it gives me the frame layout which is added in that inside that fragment layout file, and a text view is added there. And here the blank fragment is added here. So instead of this blank fragment, a string is defined for this. So I am going to specify here a blank fragment. Okay, and I am going to align this text as center, so that that text will be displayed at the center of your screen. The text will be displayed at the center of your screen. Again, I am moving toward the code window. Okay, now I want to display this layout file on an activity as a sub activity. Now I am moving toward the blank fragment.java file. Inside this Java code, I am not going to change anything. So here the blank fragment class is added, which is derived from fragment, and inside it a constructor is added. And to add the new instance of this fragment, new instance function is also added. So on create, when the fragment is created, this function will be called, and on create view function is added, which return actual fragment layout file, which return the layout file of fragment on an activity. So I'm going to specify this fragment on my activity. So I'm moving toward this activity main.xml, and here I'm going to specify the name of the fragment as fragment name. Inside this fragment and end fragment tag, I'm specifying the name. And once I use the name attribute of this fragment tag, I can get here the com.example.fragment2, which is my project, and inside it I have added the blank format. So I am going to select this. So blank fragment will be added here. So when I see this on a design view, a blank fragment will be added on my screen on an activity. Okay, so this blank fragment will be displayed on an activity. So frame fragment, it initially shows the frame fragment. When I run it, it displays the blank fragment on the screen. Right now, again, I am going to create a menu for this. So I am going to create a menu. First, we'll see whether this blank fragment is displayed on a screen or not. I'm going to run this application on my Vivo phone. So when I click on the run option, uh, this application will be executed. The progress of execution is displayed here. So I have connected my smartphone to this, and the application will be installed on the smartphone. So it requires some time to install the application on a smartphone. So meanwhile, I'm going to connect my smartphone on a screen so that I will be able to capture this smartphone screen. So here is my smartphone screen. The smartphone is displayed on the screen. Now in a progress, it shows me the install. The application is going to install on my smartphone. So once it installed, I will able to open this. I have given the name as Fragment Demo 2. So this is the blank fragment displayed on an Fragment Demo 2. So this is a separate layout file that we have added on a activity. Okay. Now we'll create option menu here. We'll create an option menu here. Consists of two different options. First is first fragment and second one is second fragment. So when I click on the first fragment option, first fragment will be opened here in menu on this activity. So how to create option menu and how to add a fragment, let's see. So now to add an option menu, I am going to click on project. I am going to click on the resource folder. To add a menu inside my project, I need to click on this resource folder. When I right click on the resource folder, I will get an option new Android resource directory, which is required for adding menu in your project. So once I click on this Android resource directory, it asks me for the directory name. I am giving the directory name as menu and I am specifying the resource type as menu. And after that, I am going to click on the OK option. Once that, it will add the menu resource directory in my project. So menu resource directory is there in my project inside this resource directory. So I'm going to right click on this menu folder and I'm choosing the menu resource file option to add the resource file for designing the menu or the menu option. So I'm going to add the menu as my menu. Suppose name of the menu I'm giving is my menu. Then I'm going to click on this OK option. After that, a my menu file will be added here. This is the layout of my menu file. Layout of my menu file. So here the file which is active is my menu. I can switch to the code window. Code window, a menu and menu tag is added. So I can add here the menu item, or I can design the menu item directly on the layout screen by selecting this menu item. So I'm dragging and dropping the menu items on my activity. One item is added. So I'm changing the text property of this. So here I'm changing the item as first fragment. First fragment. Open first. So instead of giving such option open first fragment, I'm giving the option like this. And the ID is open underscore first FIRST, right? So this is the ID of this menu item. Similar to that, I'm going to add one more menu item inside this menu. So I'm dragging and dropping the menu item and specifying the title of the second menu item as open second fragment. Open second fragment and giving that ID as open second SECOND, right? So this is the title and ID that I have given to this menu options. Now, when user click on this first fragment, open first fragment, I want to add display the first fragment on my main activity. I means I want to replace this fragment, blank fragment to the first fragment. So I need to add the first fragment and second fragment in my project. So how to add the fragment? As I explained you earlier, to add the fragment, you just have to right click on your project and then select new, then fragment and then choose a blank fragment. So here I am giving the fragment name as first fragment. First fragment. Fragment first will be the layout file created for this. And similar to that, I'm going to add one more fragment on my project. So I'm again right click on the app folder and choosing the new and then choosing the fragment and then blank fragment. And here I'm giving the second fragment name as second fragment. Second fragment. Okay. Now, once I click on the finish, two fragments are added in my project. Two fragments. So first fragment and the second fragment. Layout file for the first fragment and the layout file for the second fragment. We can design the layout as per the requirement. So I am moving toward the layout file of first fragment So when I click on this fragment underscore first dot xml, I will get this hello blank fragment option is there, which is a text view is added. Now I am moving toward the code window. I am designing I want to design some screen for this. So for getting one number, I am going to design one edit box and button. On this fragment, I am going to design one text view, going to design one edit box and button. So for that I am going to delete this text view. So here I am going to add the linear layout. So I am specifying the height and width as match parent, and then I am specifying the orientation as vertical, so that I will able to add the vertical component inside this layout. First, here I am going to add edit text for getting one number from the user. So for edit text, I am specifying the width as match parent and height as suppose 16 dp, 60 dp. Now, so I need to specify the ID to this. So I am specifying the ID as txt number, something like that. I am specifying here. I am going to specify the hint as enter number, right? Enter number. Now again I am going to design one button inside after this edit text. So for that I am choosing this button, specifying the height as width as match parent and height as 16 dp, 60 dp. I am going to specify the ID to this button as btn OK. Okay, btn OK. Now I am going to specify the text on this button as text on this button as uh, OK. Okay, this is the layout that I have designed. We can see the design of this fragment. So, so this look like this. So this fragment I want to replace on my main activity. This is the layout of first fragment. Now I am moving toward the layout of second fragment second. So on this I want to design two text boxes, two edit text and one button. Two edit text and one button. So for that again I am moving toward the code window of second layout file, Then I am deleting this text view, and again I am adding the linear layout inside it, specifying the width as match parent and height as match parent, specifying the orientation of this layout as vertical, and then inside this linear layout I am going to add the two edit text. So for that I am going to add edit text, specifying the width as match parent 16 dp, 60 dp. Then again I am specifying the hint as enter number one, and then I am going to specify the ID as txt number one. Okay, so specify the ID. So ID should begin with this @ plus txt number one. Okay, so this is the first edit box, first text box. Then I want to design the second box, so that I'm going to copy this same box, and I'm changing the ID of this second edit text as txt number 2, and specifying the hint as enter number 2. Now I'm going to design one button inside this, or after this button I'm getting the button here, specifying the width as match parent and then height as 60 dp. Right, now I'm specifying the text to this button as calculate option, calculate text I am going to specify. Okay, now so we need to specify the ID also. So I'm specifying here btn cal. Okay, so now our design looks like this. Now this layout of second fragment that I have designed in the layout file of fragment second, I want to replace this design on the activity main. So this number of sub activities and number of sub fragment or fragment I can replace with my main activity. So how to replace it? So I have created a menu for this. Now I have created a menu file. So menu file is here. Inside it, I have added two menu options. Now, when user click on this first menu option, I want to display the first fragment, and when user click on the second fragment, we want to display the second fragment. So first we attach the menu to the activity. So for that, I am moving toward the first. We need to display that menu on an activity. So to display the menu on an activity, we need to overload one function called on option menu created. So for that, I am moving toward the uh, main activity.java. I am moving towards the main activity.java. So inside this main activity, so I am going to overload one function. To overload any function in a Java file, we can use the shortcut key as Ctrl plus O. Then I'm searching for on option atom created, on menu, on on option menu, on option menu created, on create option menu. So this is the function on create option menu. So this function I need to override for creating an option menu for my activity. So here, how to create an option menu? To create an option menu, we need to first create the object of menu inflator class, menu inflator class. So I'm creating the inflator here, and get menu inflator is a function for this, and I'm specifying here inflator.inflat. This function requires two parameters. Inflator.inflat. This function requires the menu resource and the menu. So menu resource is what? The menu resource we have already designed. So this my menu.xml is our menu resource on which we have designed the menu. We need to specify the menu resource here. So for that, so to the inflat function and specifying the r.menu.myMenu. So this is the menu resource, and second parameter I am passing to this is as menu. So this parameter is already available on this create option menu function or a method. So this will attach an option menu that I have created, that we have created on an activity. So I am returning a true from this function. So this menu is attached to this activity, so that I am returning true from this function. Now this will add the menu. Now to handle that menu, we need to overload one more function called on option atom selected. So how to overload function? Again, you need to hit the Ctrl plus O key. When I hit the Ctrl plus O, it will display one dialog on which we have to search on option atom selected. So I am searching for on option atom selected. So this is the function that we need to overload for handling the menu of atoms that is designed. So here, so I am going to check for the atom that is selected by user. How to check the atom selected by the user? Using this menu atom object, I can check the atom. So I am passing this to switch, atom dot get atom ID. So this will get the atom ID. So I am checking for the atom ID as r.id.open first. If the open first option is selected by user, then I want to display the fragment one on my activity. So how to display the fragment one on an activity? To display the fragment one on activity, so get uh, fragment get support fragment manager is a function, then begin transaction is a function, then replace replace is an replace is a function. And to this replace function, what is needed is, to this replace function, uh, uh, which fragment is to be replaced. What is the ID of the fragment tag that we have created on a main activity, that we have to specify here. So I am moving toward the layout file for created for the activity main. On an activity main, we have created this fragment and end fragment tag, and we have specified the ID to this fragment as frame for fragment. So on this fragment, we want to replace the first fragment. We want to replace the first fragment. So how to do this? How to perform this? So for that, again, I'm moving toward the main activity dot Java. So inside this, so I'm specifying the r.id dot frame for fragment is the fragment that we want to replace, and then uh, fragment, first fragment, whatever the fragment that we want to display. So first fragment we want to display. So first fragment dot new instance is a function that you need to call to replace the first fragment on this frame for fragment. So this function takes two parameters. If you want to pass some parameter to the fragment, we can pass those parameter from here. So I am passing the blank parameter here. So because this function takes in two argument, then again I am going to perform the commit option. Okay. After that, so this will open the first fragment when user click on the open first option on a menu item. So similar to that, I am writing the same condition for a second menu option. So here I am changing the ID as second open second. If this option is selected, then we want to replace the same fragment frame for fragment with a second fragment. So here I am specifying the second fragment dot new instance. Okay, now I think our code is ready. We'll test for whether that fragment is displayed or not. So whenever you want to perform some code for the fragment layout, if you want to perform some operation on the this uh, perform the operation on this first fragment or second fragment, if this is second fragment, if you want to perform some calculation on this, so you have to write the code in second fragment.java file. So how to write it, we'll see it later on. First we'll run it and we'll see whether this fragment is replaced on the main activity or not. So I'm going to run this application on my smartphone. Again, I'm selecting this restart option. So after you can see here, so fragment, only you need to add here the break statement so that fragment will automatically replace here. So fragment will be, so here fragment will be replaced when you add the break statements. Now we can see the output, so how it works. Now you can see here how it works. You can see now when I click on this first option here, so first fragment will be open, and when I click on the second option, when I click on the open second option, a second fragment will be open. When I click on the first fragment, again the first fragment will be open. So on the same activity, the fragments are loaded one after another. So I hope you understand what exactly the fragment is, how to display the fragment on an activity, how to create a menu in an activity, and how to select a particular fragment when menu option item is selected. I hope the basic idea of fragment and menu is clear in this video. Okay, thank you.